maybe a wireless pull down to the
Hey, that's a farm.
What's that? Oh, is it really?
I think that's the start.
Oh, okay.
Personal autism disabilities on this one. You can use this page. I was inside mine and then outside of Korea and my spots. Could be.
No, it's just a great environment.
And now it's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. Always helps get the ideas flowing, right? What's your name? Yeah, definitely think
So the name like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Did you notice the guy who said to your here tonight? Okay. Okay. You just
So when I can go upload. Is it set up for Apple Apple? What? In case somebody wants mine. That's good. It's our dry run.
So this is your dry run?
No, it's fine, we just open. No, we took all the walls out. But the good thing is this is not only for lighting, voice cancellation, and all this. And then it picks them up. Move them downstairs. But they did not that they lose the other rooms, the other floors. Yeah. But too much. If you get good tenants in, the building is too good for us. 20,000 square feet. If you fully load it up, it's 10 seconds. Because the water is leaving it. That's those moments that old bridge. They need to keep party the whole night. Nothing else.
I can't believe actually I'm surprised. When I've driven around trying to help myself in the area, I can't believe how many quarters are.
And you go to club this year.
Well, then I figured out when I
At the
drove by
jail.
the court.
At the jail.
Then I saw the bond places and all right now.
That's the only down where we have to pick J directly down.
We
In
need
the historic district.
We need like MMA lawyers and IT lawyers.
That's an expert.
Professionals.
That's an expert. The Yale.
And we just need at least one lawyer, one decent lawyer down there for MMA. And IT, we don't want to get them on.
But we have to train them what that is, the startup.
If they can get crooks off, they get good money for startups.
You just have something to end for all.
Yeah, that's right.
That's Katie's shop. That's Katie. Next week we respond to her. She's perfect. But it's just came in from India. I need $2,500. And some beer for my Starbucks. This is what he's doing the whole day. Packing for food. I get sushi. I train her how to do easy and like I get her trained. She get everything. That's an English. Get cooked foods. He makes here Hungarian food. That's true. Yes. But if you don't find tech companies, whatever, cooking schools. All we had to say is that said I was 500 good, selling whatever. We're telecom. When I started then in Germany, I started from scratch. that's a different style of living, but this is how they relax. It's a future of work. And you see that right now that all the countries, if you have the possibility to go into a happy office home and Facebook, you can use Amazon, you should get a lot space, all this more modern. Look at the office, this is crazy. People bring their own furniture. It's creative. It's cooking flowers. Yeah, some friend of mine was and he Microsoft. And the guy from Google was on the international business. And he really because the Microsoft, for the meeting, people have to go to the meeting. It's a meeting. Decision is Google, there's if you don't think the meeting is useful, even if your boss is calling the next one, not doing what you like, it's social. I don't know how they and they're like,
I just started this, actually my name is Sven in case I didn't introduce myself to any one of you, but I want to keep this, very informal, so just talk to me whenever you see me and talk to everyone else, that's most importantly. This is a networking event with an awesome keynote, but the mission of this event, or the reason why I started it was because we just moved to the area a couple of months ago, and I'm a techie by heart, and I'm a software engineer, and I try to connect to the local startup scene and to other techies, and I found it actually quite hard in the beginning, without knowing how the area is and how the people are, and it worked, but it was quite cumbersome. So I figured, hey, why not just start a meetup group? I was involved, I lived in New Jersey for the last 5 years, and I was involved with a couple of meetup groups there, and it worked great. The people showed up, there was great talks, and people could help each other. So that's basically what I'm trying to do here. This is all for you, so make the best of it. Make sure you meet as many new people every time you're here, and don't feel shy to ask for help. Please come to me if you need anything. As I mentioned, I'm in software. I studied electrical engineering, so this is a little bit of the expertise I have. But just ask. That's why I'm trying to build the group, so hopefully I'll know many people in a while, and we can facilitate and not reinvent the tech wheel all the time, because in this industry that seems to happen a lot. You'll just do the same thing all over, and we need a pattern that someone could just help us out real quick, which is actually in the group. I saw it actually in New Jersey, someone did that before, and in a matter of a week they banged out a patent that he didn't even charge anything, so that was really great. And he had the prototype with him, so that was cool. But anyway, so what are we going to do tonight? You already mingled a little bit, so we got that done. The introduction, I got that also done. We're going to have, I'm trying to always have roughly this agenda for the meetups monthly. I'm not set on this, so if you guys want to see something else, if something else works for the group better, we'll do that. If you want more informal, we'll do that. If you want more frequent, we'll do that. But as I said, it's about you and about all of us, so let's try to find the right framework to make the best of it. But I set out with this format because I knew it worked in New Jersey, and we usually had about 2 to 3 startup pitches. I have rooms tonight on here, which is a very interesting startup in Miami. She couldn't make it tonight, so we're going to have 2 other local pitches from Paul here and right over there, exactly. Which should be very interesting too. And then the exciting part of tonight, I'm very glad to have Andy here for our awesome keynote. He's going to talk about the price of light and big data and digital marketing. I'm very excited about that. I didn't hear the talk either myself yet, so it should be fun. And then I want to give everyone just a minute. If you have to say something, if not, you don't have to. If you want to say something, just come up and open mic, 30 seconds to a minute, introduce yourself, what do you do, what do you need, right? Throw out a need, maybe someone can help. I don't know, I need a JavaScript expert, or my developer in Belarus never responds, I need someone else, something like that, right? So, and then we'll wrap the thing up, and we're gonna go for the more informal part to the bar downstairs. I hope they're gonna have enough space for us, because
we changed the plan.
You changed it then?
Yeah, we are moving over if somebody's interested to the United Coffee, so he's waiting to.
Oh, okay, okay,
We
awesome.
have everything in, we have the whole bar,
Oh,
we
sweet.
have fresh beer. It's a
Awesome.
British guy, you know, we Germans are British.
All right, great. So this is great. This is great.
Don't look at the soccer shirts, what they wear. It's
Right.
wrong, it's wrong.
I didn't know that yet, but I'm okay with that. That's more than enough. So I was mentioning that already, you know, what I've been trying to do here. I think, like, after the couple of months, I've looked into this area now, and I'm sure you guys know way more than me, so, you know, I'm welcoming every bit of information. But it looks like it's just starting out. I heard a couple of people say now that in the last couple of months, more happened than in the last 3 years. So I'm very glad to be at this time here and you know, trying to start a group and pull all the other groups together maybe and do co-events and maybe hackathons, which is a little passion of mine. And with, you know, the space here, this should be a very vibrant time to, you know, grow up in the tech scene. And I wanted to just play you something I found 2 hours ago. So it's just watch it now without seeing anything.
Alright, we are here today with an enormous astronaut. As we all know, to San Francisco in 1492, or Regina to San Jose in the Palo Alto. This set the scene for a few hundred years later when thousands of other foreign information
This is actually not the
workers
target.
to Silicon Valley in making millions of dollars. Who's first? We're actually going to go down to Silicon Valley and speak with the creator of Facebook.
This is 10 years ago.
I guess I'll just do a little intro and we'll kind of go into the interview.
Start with beer.
No, actually, I mentioned the beer. Part of the work. I'm here in Palo Alto, California, chilling with Mark Zuckerberg of the Facebook.com. For the uninitiated, for those without a computer, tell us simply what Facebook is and what it does.
So, I think Facebook is an online community for colleges, and it's kind of interactive. So look you up or get information about it. You have, like, hopefully all the information or like a bunch of information I want to know about you.
What is it that you think attracted users?
It's a lot of different. So I mean, we started at Harvard, just me on Facebook at that time. Harvard because they didn't have anything. Like, I realized that have people's information like a school would and making a Facebook. I need to make it interesting enough so that people would want to use the site and want to like put their information out there, also be useful for other people and grow. So we launched it at Harvard in early February of 2004, and in a couple of weeks, 2/3 of the school had signed up. So at that point, my roommates were kind of like, you know, this is pretty cool. Like, whether it's work at other schools, but we were all in classes and stuff. So went to it was going to work before going in like any. So we launched it at 3 schools that also had some sort of online community: Columbia, Yale, and Stanford. So launched it those, and within a couple of weeks, each of those 3 schools also like had thousands. Let's just go all out and see how many schools we can launch this at as quickly as possible. So we closed out the year with I think 29 schools. Came out to Palo Alto, just hanging out because Palo Alto is kind of this mythical place where, you know, all the startups come from. Just schools when you started, and it's like we'll go to parties with campus. There's a photo that like one of my friends traveled a couple weeks ago. He went to cafes in like Colombia and to Italy, and like well, we went to Facebook just to check out whether it was like whether it was still working. You go to like the login page and it would have like someone else's login there saved from like the last time someone had been on it. And I think like in London, it was like 2 of the people in the internet cafe were on Facebook at the time.
I mean, the other thing we're talking about, it sort of inspires like people out in public.
Yeah.
Like it's not just an online community. I mean, you know,
It's like, alright.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal that we went into it with wasn't to make an online community, but sort of like a mirror for the real community that existed in real life. So, like, the Facebook for your school isn't somewhere where people actually go to meet, but like where you go to see like who knows each other, you know, and maybe like sort of a groundbreaker or like icebreaker, you know, so that way you can find out something about people and see who you want to meet, or maybe like if you can like message them, and it's just like a really informal way to like start a dialogue.
where can you take Facebook to this point? You can expand to those other schools that you're not at, and well,
I mean, there doesn't necessarily have to be more, you know, I mean, like a lot of people are focused on taking over the world, or doing like the biggest thing, getting the most I think like part of making a difference and doing something cool is focusing intensely. There's a level of service that we can provide when we're just in Harvard that we can't provide for all of the colleges, and there's a level of service that we can provide when we're a college network that we wouldn't be able to provide if we went to other types of things. So, I mean, like I really just want to see everyone focus on college and create like a really cool college directory product that just like is very relevant for students and like has a lot of like information that people care about when they're in college. So I don't know what that is, and it's not everything that's on Facebook now.
So I thought this was very interesting, especially that last part where he said, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be more. You know, I'm assuming most of you are familiar with his story now, and I thought it was quite funny. This is how I see startups, and this is why I'm in the game, really, because maybe some of us will actually have similar path. You know, we're all right here drinking beer and networking and bullshitting around, and maybe working on a couple of ideas. And I like his point, his remark on focus. You know, this is cool because I have the same issue. Sometimes I lose myself in too much, and I have so many ideas and so many features I could implement. But on the other side, you just have to drill down and bang out one feature and make sure this works 100% and people love it, right? And then you can go from there. And he did it. Let's see, maybe a couple more of us can do the same thing. Now, what I found really, really cool, and thanks to all of you, is that for the first meetup today, we have 50 members in the group, and I just counted about 25 showed up, which is great. We had 28 RSVPs, so that's really cool too, because usually there's like, wow, 50% or less showing up. So we are already off to a great start. Let's grow that curve. Well, that's not a curve actually, but let's keep it going in the same speed or speed it up.
Looks like a startup business plan.
I didn't interpret it yet. I didn't dare because I want to have at least 2 more data points. But I'm very happy with this. And why that's happening or why this is possible, big kudos to the guys from the Rocket Launch. Obviously, we wouldn't be here without them. They provided the space, they provided the food and the drinks. So, this, yeah. This is great. Thanks for having us. I think this is one of the points where I usually try to pass along. Just pick up the phone. Like, I literally read an article and I picked up the phone. Well, actually, I emailed them, but they replied. I told them, hey, this is what I want to do. They listened. Turns out we have a similar interest. So, that's why we're all here. So, maybe if you want to say some words.
Yeah, can I pitch?
Yeah.
It's not for free, the drink, so you have to listen to it. Entertainment. So I don't want to bother you with our presentation, but a little bit about Rocket Launch. So the idea of Rocket Launch, working?
One go.
One channel.
It's all about.
So the idea of Rocket Launch came, I do an accelerator program since 3 years. I'm a serial entrepreneur coming originally from Germany, like Sven. My co-founder Peter is from Hungary, so we are really international. By the way, the team, Katie is a space operator. She just joined us 2 weeks ago. We have not done a real interview. we looked at her background, half German, half Indian. She can work hard, we know it, and coaching support. We didn't look at any resumes or calling references. This is how startup companies are working, and this is how we get together here. And do I miss something? My co-founder, we have another co-founder in Germany, Europe, our ambassador. And so we have Steffen here. Where's Steffen? Steffen, the German, the tall guy. He's our intern, our first intern coming in from Germany, nephew of one of our investors. So 3 years ago, an old friend of mine, after working 28 years in the computer industry for companies like IBM, Dell, many companies I started, we started an accelerator program in the heavyweight of competition, Silicon Valley and San Francisco. But with our idea to start from the beginning a global international transatlantic accelerator program, we got attention because most of the local guys like Y Combinator and Techstars and all the very famous one are mostly focused on US companies. So we started, because both of us from Germany, to get companies from Germany, from Turkey, from all over the places. And we started an online accelerator. So nobody has to be physical in the space. We work for the US companies. We shared an office with Rockspace, that was the name, in San Francisco, and run it there. And 3 years later, we had trained and accelerated about 1,200 startups with 70% funding rate. So that means our program was quite okay and good, it was a high rate. So we trained the entrepreneurs and built a mentorship around them and helped them to find mentors. So my partner actually decided he wanted to go back to Europe because San Francisco got too expensive and too crowded. And I went to Zurich and I was by my own here, sitting in Florida on the left retired, I got boarding. So I met Peter. I invested in the diabetes or a healthcare company in Naples, and we have sit in an incubator or accelerator there. I met Peter and say, hey, maybe we can do the accelerator program here. I drive around in Miami, and I have in Sarasota, and looked around. It was mostly incubator. It was not incubator, it was co-working spaces. No program, no mentorship, nothing. So the startups, they moved in, paid their rent, but nobody helps them really. So we thought we can maybe adapt and bring a little bit Silicon Valley style here to Southwest Florida. So I started to think about the idea, talk to Peter and others looking for investors, because one goal we had, no government money. We don't want to have government involved. They can sponsor our tenants. They can sponsor when you create jobs and pay the jobs for 6 months. This is a funding which they can get from government, but we don't want to have them in our whatever telling us how to help companies to grow and scale. So, and today you see the results. We are really happy. We are, I think, the first one in this kind, and that's only the beginning. Axel is based in Zurich, and tonight he's running a 250 entrepreneur startup pitch in Berlin, tomorrow in Munich, close, 250 people, that's more, it's not able. He's doing in Zurich, he's going to Barcelona, Milano, and at every event he's doing, he talks about rocket launch and convince the startups who are there, if you want to go to the US, Florida is the next tech hub. I mean, they still don't believe it, but we work very hard together. You know, after San Francisco, table, you can't do this anymore. You're lost. New York, Boston, who wants to do that? I mean, give me a break with the weather. I lived in Austin. You can't compare Austin to this place. So this is the next. So if you all work together, and then we are so happy that we get Sven, and that's exactly what we want. We need to find all the Svens and all Europe here, and this is how we can create something real big. I call it not the next Silicon Valley because that's different. The next Austin would be great. And I was in Austin, I worked for Michael Dell in the 90s, and they created 400,000 tech shops in 10 years with power of universities, entrepreneurs, and money from entrepreneurs like Michael Dell. Michael Dell put a lot of money in it, and he got a lot of money. And so we have a lot of people with money in our area, but they didn't make the money with technology most. I don't know. But they are able to pull off their family trust and give us a little bit so we can finance our ideas. And this is what we are doing. So I'm a little bit older. I can go to the old guys in Naples and beg for $1 million for their 500 million and try to get it into our space. And they are helping. So we're building funding sources for all the companies we want to do here. So very short, we want to do it in a partnership. So we are looking for other incubators. We are looking for angel groups, we are looking for VCs, we are looking for mentors, and this is what we are getting here. With the help of Peter, who is organizing and managing all our programs, we have a very, very great pool of talents down here which can help our startups to grow. And if you know one of the biggest, for me, investors of our time now, which is Peter Thiel, one of the famous PayPal founder, friend of Ray Hoffman from LinkedIn, and I met them all. I mean, I was even longer in the business than this guy. I started at IBM in 1976 and was team of the Boca Raton team who introduced the PC in 81 in Boca. I signed I show you pictures later. I signed my first contract with Bill Gates, Balmer, you see me on pictures with everybody, from Steve Jobs, because at this time, there was a small community. Larry Ellison, at Oracle has been, 150 people when I first met him. There was an 80, when I left IBM was 83, we introduced the PC in Europe, and this was all small companies, no security guards, no billionaires, like we are doing here. You can't believe, it's my third start, you know, mainframes, PCs, internet, and now this, crazy. And I didn't get older, unbelievable. These are the founders. We found each other the one in the middle is a technology guy. Peter is an unbelievable guy for all programs, very, very brain, and I'm the, you know, smiling sales and marketing guy. He only can go outside and raise money for others. So. We have a very strong program, modularized. We didn't invent all this ourselves. I mean, this is what we have done in San Francisco and all over. Sven knows it when you come from New Jersey, New York. This is what they do. We do it here now also. We have now and build something, but we do it in our way, a little bit slower. So we have not to run 100 startups per month like Techstars in San Francisco. We do it slower, we have time, we are in Florida, but we want to have great exits here and make fun and make money and get rich. It's my goal. So I think we have, because I have kids in college, in Germany, I should have stayed in Germany, it's all for free. I think we have a great building, a great place. This downtown is, I was here, my first tech startup was in this building, it was a drone company, it was video stabilization. There was nothing, it was dirty, not a nice area. So now we have a perfect, and even most of the restaurants are owned by one company, which is Crossen, but they've done a good job, entrepreneurs, and we know them very well. So I think we have a great program. We will have funding available. You have to give us a little time. I know everybody from our startups, we see later a pitch from Paul and RP and others. We need all money, and we will bring money here. The VCs will follow deals, and we create deals. And then the VCs from New York, they're sitting on $650 million funds, and they have to spend it somehow because their investors are pressuring them to spend it. So we will get money down here. We will create our own rocket launch fund. We will create a healthcare fund, which is we announce it in 4 weeks from now, which is a $25 to $30 million fund from local investors here in Florida, only for healthcare. And we will announce a $5 million angel fund, only from rich people in Lee County, because our guy who runs the fund won't have money from Collier County. We have another fund in Collier, which is a Naples fund, Kamiami, which are supporting our startups here in the rocket launch. And they have $5 million. So it's starting, it's building here, you know. We will do Shark Tank style pitches. This is all the first stuff. As you know, we have this famous bar behind us where we can have 150 to 200 people with a big screen, and we have a jury, and we do real Shark Tank style. Then we invest on the spot when we have these people there, money, because we don't have angels who talk and not invest.
So you're saying they're signing the check on the spot?
On the spot, for the winners. Yeah. This is how it works. I mean, when we do our San Francisco pitches, Manny Fernandez, who runs the Dream Funded, biggest angel group, he has checks in his bag, and he can decide up to $25,000 on the fly. That's possible. We can do it here.
Hold on.
And we get that hard.
That's the only reason I shut up. Shit, I'm gonna go down the elevator.
And I don't know what I know, but I know a lot of billionaires living down here. And they have a lot of money. And I found out that we have 5 to 10, maybe billionaires, 2 billionaires I know. We have hundreds of millions making technology. Came from New York, from Boston, from Germany. Dietmar Hopp was here, one of the founders of SAP. There were only one German software company. He just moved to Naples. He's sitting on $6 billion. And investing in the football club who was losing every game. We have Klaus Weimer, by the way, who's part of this building, who is owner and founder of the Cancun Group, which is the biggest German system integrator group on the stock exchange. We have Stefan here, who is all owned by our builder here, Dominic, who is made 25,000 people working for him. And they are all living in Cape Coral in houses, nobody knows them. They drive a boat like me, maybe a little bigger, and we have to find out where they all are, bring them here and see this is something going. You live here, in paradise, spend a little bit. Don't leave it all in Germany and pay 50% tax. This is what we do. And there we need help. So we will have a tough program. We hope that we can start in September, our first, and this is tough, this is not fun. You have to pay, or if you don't have money, we take equity out of your companies. But after the 6 weeks program, overall it takes 6 months. You stay here, you get membership, we make you what we call investor ready. And I've run this with Axel and other partners for the last 3 years. And we have CEOs and founders getting out with tears in their eyes, we kick them out, we crash them. Because in the end, if you sit for a real investor like Peter Thiel, and you have this company who maybe can raise $10 million, he will not be your friend. I mean, he will kill you. And you have to be better prepared before you get in front of these people. And if you want to get rid of some big access, $100 million now, which is possible, you will one time meet these guys. And these are killers. Do we want to help them be prepared? Or then they tell you how to create your board. And they put not good people in your board. So we make sure, as a moderator, to bring a board together, which is for the entrepreneur. Because if you always hear the story, and you see it even in Google, they bring Eric Schmidt in one time because they think the investors think that Larry was not the right guy to run it. Now he's back. That was a smooth transition. But others, they kick you out because you have the wrong board. And we help you. We have done this. I got kicked outside 2 times from my own company. Say, how can that be? Look at your contracts. Oh shit. You know, in the Rocket Lounge, I made this nice clause. 75% of the shares must be voting against me to kick me out. So my 2 founders and we have of course more. If they don't like me, they can kick me out.
But they like you.
Still. So anyway, I can talk for hours and hours, but now we have an academy here which we will announce pretty soon. You have not only the 6 week program, we have a little program how to structure, especially for international companies who are coming here, which create jobs. What is the difference between an LLC and Inc. and how to structure it? What is the partnership? As you all know, how to get a visa, which visa is the right one to get a green card. I was fortunate to come here as a CEO from technology company, got an H1B, which is the best one, but as you see the discussion with Trump and all this, they want to cut it, and this is stupid.
Yeah.
And so we have to work on this, and we can create power here.
Which, by the way, just to interrupt for 1 second, this is going to be, like, my idea of the tech meetup is also to cover pretty much all of this. Like, obviously not as in-depth, but to give you an idea of what you have to think about if you're starting a company, or if you want to go from the the basement and to power up the community, and how to get to your Series A. If you have immigration issues, I want to have all of those experts here to give you the first idea of what it means, and then if you decide, okay, this might be an issue, you'll go to the leader and
we
do
should
the crash course.
We want to have the space. We want to be the we want to be you to run it. You are much more believable to other startups. If a guy professor from FGCU is telling them how to start a company, you've never done.
Right, but there's more to it than how
we
we
do
talk.
it together. What Art is telling us about how to bring a company, a successful company from Hungary with 45 people a year later, bring it to Naples from scratch. We do it here. You need help. So there's a lot of possibilities we can do. So a little event overview. This is our first event, by the way, because we just got the permit from the city that we can, when we ask for the space and permit, they, what are you doing? Incubator. What's that? Co-working, no. Business in here. Then they ask us, every company is moving. We say, maybe we have 60 companies. Yeah, then the fire chief is coming all the time and checking my, I say, what is stupid is that? I mean, that cannot be, that's it. This is the future here, guys. You have to, it's only a little, but now we have Katie, she's going to the city and smiling, and we get every tour. So we have a ribbon cutting April 28th, and really the big guys are coming. I was running around, the senators coming, the mayors coming, so they understand what we are doing. They invited me even to this famous Horizon Council meeting on Friday. Now I asked them, can I make a pitch? No, you have 2 minutes. Okay, I have 2 minutes on Friday. And then they cut me off in 2 minutes.
This is all very fast if you want to fit all that in.
So this is how they understand what we are doing. And then we have another startup pitch night here with the Southwest Florida Regional Technology Partnership. We host their meeting here because we are sponsored. And then hopefully every month we have stand here, and then we do pitch events, networking events, co-founder speed dating events, events. So this should be the place where you all come and meet and we build it. A little bit too much, I know, but thank you for coming.
Over again. The screen. No, the screen. Thanks, Steve. So, yeah, like you made the point in the end, this is the place where you want to be, and I couldn't agree more. So this is the startup which unfortunately couldn't make it, but let's get to our startup pitches. So
But she will come. Anemone is a good story.
I can do the
This
floor
is
call
the
first.
time we moved to Fort Myers.
Are you going on your plate? Yep. Okay. Sorry for switching over. Okay.
By the way, Paul moved already in before we had the permit. Don't tell anybody. He's sitting here since, I don't know, 2 weeks now. He don't go out anymore.
I moved the desks in at 10 o'clock last night.
Okay, let's go.
So did one.
That's a good one to watch. And this is even different for Florida. When you look at Paul and me, you have not to be an entrepreneur, be 21.
Yeah.
There's also some of us who can start companies after you get a little bit older.
Yeah, so when you make 10 startup mistakes since 2000, you end up learning a lot. So I'm not here to profess that I know anything, but I definitely know what not to do, including a really horrific exit in 2010. So what I'm going to pitch you guys today is a company called EcoMedia. We started in 2014, and what we try to do is simplify and streamline economic and environmental ROI analysis. So every product that's really successful these days tries to pitch some of that high performance thing. Elon Musk pitches the Tesla. It's not really an electric car. It's the safest car. It's the fastest car. It has an insane button. It drives itself. It happens to be an electric car. He happens to be making batteries, but he made the Prius generation of rich guys in Silicon Valley that felt like they had to drive a Prius to the country club, give them a $100,000 car that's faster than a Ferrari. Suddenly, they can measure what's bigger, faster, and better. So we make that easy. I've been a consultant. I've been having this problem. I've been trying to convince people to build green since 2000. Finally, I basically put myself in a pocket. So I don't have to actually hire a consultant. A third grader can go into a building, count the fixtures, count lights, count toilets, and do an ROI analysis that most sustainability people from Stanford couldn't do, or somebody would take lots and lots of time. So what we do is we balance data. We look at performance data, we chug through a big gigantic AI. I don't like to say AI because it doesn't sound very green, so we call it sustainable intelligence. Because if you're going to spend money, most people that spend money on a premium product want to know what's in it for them. There's nothing wrong with that. So our value chain is the people that try to sell stuff to you, the influencers in the middle where we've had a lot of success in real estate, so architects, designers, contractors. I've worked on projects from Habitat houses all the way to Capital One Financial's corporate headquarters, or Duke University's $100 million lab building. If someone's going to spend more money on something, you have to convince them of performance. If you ever shopped at Publix, go out for eggs. How hard is it to find the right green egg at Publix? There's free range, there's cage-free, there's organic, there's vegetarian veg. You just want to make a freaking omelet and it's going to take you forever to chug through that data. Our software takes care of that because I've been the guy in the scavenger hunt waiting 5 hours to find the right link on the web to go find a piece of data. If I was lucky enough during that scavenger hunt, I then had to connect the dot to the data to what my client wanted. It's like some 3-year ROI on lighting. There's 60,000 lighting fixtures that are Energy Star certified in the United States. Go to Home Depot and Lowe's and try to figure out what light bulb to get based on your usage or an appliance. You won't find it. Then if you're lucky enough to connect the data, it's your time on the adding machine to build your own algorithms, your own spreadsheet, spend 6 hours on EnergyStar.gov, and then piece together the results and say, honey, I got this dishwasher, I just don't know which one is 72 at Home Depot, that all have the same Energy Star sticker, which one should I get? So our software, you can type in how many times you're going to do the dishes or the clothes. It'll actually tell you how much energy and water you're going to save. So this scavenger hunt was my life for 15 years and continues to be my life when I'm doing projects. So what we did is we took that, simplified it down to focus on the data that matters, map it automatically do the calculations, create a report that normal people can actually read, analyze all the data on the entire usage of the site, and make it easier to shop for green products. Because if we don't make it easier to shop for green products and high performance products, the world's not going to get any better. If you can't prove the ROI of a green product, whether it's a car or a house or a building, we won't fix this problem. Buildings run 1,440 minutes out of the day, and there's not one MPG on any building product or building in the world. Yet it's the biggest piece of information you buy a car, and it has been that way for the last 20 years, so we care about MPG. Elon just says, go to Gulf Coast Town Center, park your car, let the billionaire fill it up. He doesn't talk about Mothra down. He's like, let me pay for it. I got this. I'm a billionaire. I send payloads to space. Space shuttle doesn't work anymore. So we actually created a system that takes all the data from the catalog, gives you data that you can understand, and does an ROI analysis in about 3.5 minutes. Our first few clients were lucky. We've done this before, like I said, not the right way the first couple times, but the wrong way. We had $2 billion clients, multinationals, come on board when I was just a spreadsheet and a PowerPoint. And they became our alpha clients. They basically beat the living crap out of our software until they really, really liked it. Then they told other people about it. We grew revenue. I believe in being a startup, you have to make revenue. You can't spend people's money to just get users. Because if you don't charge $1 or something for your software, and we don't charge $1, we always charge a lot. For 2 clients, we had $137,000 worth of revenue. You have to do it. You have to get revenue, otherwise no one's going to give you money. If you're Zuckerberg, you can get money. You can come up with blah.com, someone's going to give them $1 billion. But you have to actually show that people are going to pay for your software. We got super excited. The GSA, the largest federal procurement agency, spends 25 to 30 billion annually. They came to us as a 2-company startup and said, you know what? We buy a lot of crap. We don't know what we buy. We don't know why we buy it. But we have crazy environmental regulations on every contract that we write. Help us figure this out. So we now have an open hunting license for 15,000 vendors. And on average, they're going to spend $15,000 with us. So it's a total market cap of about $225 million a year. Because of this deal, we got UL, which is Underwriters Laboratory, the largest testing lab in the world. They want to sell our service to their clients, which is really nice because I don't want to have to grow a 100-person sales force. I started the company, as again, I started in 2000 with the worst idea ever, but it was the wrong time to raise money. I learned how not to do a startup very quickly. I started a startup and we were out of business in about 3 months. That's what happened to most startups in 2000, if you remember back in the day. But I've been working on green building. I've been working on stuff for a very long time. We got the former head of public sector sales at Oracle to join as an advisor and also an angel investor. He's in Naples. Met him through a casual conversation at a volleyball tournament for my daughters. Michelle Moore is Chief Sustainability Officer for the Obama administration. She recently left. She's helped us on the federal sector. David Carlson used to be my CTO of one of my startups called Eco Scorecard and EcoLogic. That got acquired and went horribly wrong. He was at Google and Square, and then Kevin Sallin, the former small business editor for the Wall Street Journal, has become our advisor. So we're really happy that we have really good people that very gently beat the crap out of us to make sure our ideas are good. I got to thank Peter. This incubator thing works. I was trying to convey this. He showed me a link on YouTube how to build this chart. It's like 7,000 little dip switches in PowerPoint, but it really works good. So our total addressable market is about 30,000 manufacturers that constantly try to get you to buy something greener. So if we spent $15,000, they spent $15,000 a year on us, it's $450 million. That'd be a pipe dream. I'd be sitting there like Zuckerberg doing neck stands. The serviceable addressable market is probably about half of that. So it's 25 million. And to grow our business, all we need is 1%, 3%, 5%, 10%. By the time we're done, we're going to exit north of $100 million. And that's my goal, because once we get bigger than that, everyone that's going to be our partner will then become our competitor. And I don't want to do that. It's going to be a little too hard and spend too much money. We are only competing right now with ourselves. The prior startup that I had, Eco Scorecard, is actually still around. The really evil people that bought me out and didn't let me have any money to develop my platform, they're the only natural competition that we have. The other things that we compete with are manufacturer websites and little tools that they've built that mostly suck. More than that, they spend about $150,000 to $500,000 a year maintaining those sites with IT departments that don't want to respond and people that generally don't know anything about sustainability. The Energy Star Water Sense database is great. We're actually partnering with the federal government to suck that data in. But if you want something to put yourself to sleep, go to their sites, check out, look for a model, a dishwasher, a refrigerator you're interested in, and then go to sleep. It's going to take you about 7 hours to find the data, and about another 6 to build a spreadsheet that can deal with it. Our business model is simple. We're software as a service. So I build it once, I resell it over and over again. Clients can pay $5,000 to $15,000 to be part of an aggregated platform, kind of like an Amazon for green building shoppers. That's what the federal government wants us to build on their behalf. Again, 15,000 manufacturers are going to probably want to make it easier on themselves to do that way. We also build private labeled apps, like the one I showed you with Toto. Those run about $30,000. Again, that's a fraction of what it costs Typically, our platform costs are less than a good spec to get figured out what you need to build. So that's how we kind of pitch it to our clients. You can go build a spec and go find out how much it's going to cost to build in-house. 6 of our clients right now are evaluating because they spend more money than the $15,000 they could have just paid me, and their sites would have been launched. They wait 6 weeks to actually get a spec done. Our sales and distribution plan is simple. UL is the largest certifying body in the United States. They have 100 experienced sales reps. The nicest thing is they already have 10,000 existing manufacturing clients they're going to sell into, so I don't have to go raise all that capital to raise sales force. Green Circle Certified is a vendor for the Department of Defense. We're actually talking to them about sustainable procurement as well. You wouldn't think the DoD actually buys green stuff. They buy more green stuff than the GSA. So combined, they spend about $50 billion on building products every year to run the massive amount of infrastructure our federal government has. Lucky for me, I don't think the federal government's going to get any less bureaucratic, so they keep making bureaucratic rules. I'm just going to make it a little bit easier every year for them to do their work. Other certifying bodies want to partner with us. We support all the 3 rating systems in the United States, and we actually, since we're working with the GSA, we're in partnership directly to take an API feed out of Energy Star, WaterSense, and other rating systems. We're slowly growing. We're not a ridiculous growth chart in terms of how many clients we need. Again, we want to go from 7 clients to 150 this year. With UL, we should be able to do that. It's only 10 sales a month with our 100 sales reps. Grow to 300 clients, 750 clients, and then eventually get to an exit position at 1,500 clients with only 10% of the market share. We incubated this entire company, an idea out of my consulting business that got tiresome, not making any money and spending all the money I had built up from the last exit. We got some angel investors in 2015. We're raising an angel round right now of $250,000 just to basically be a bridge to our next Series A. We don't want to borrow too much money early on because we think the sales force and all the work we're doing with the government will actually help us move forward. So we need a little bit of money. We're offering a convertible note with an 8% return, and as soon as we go to Series A, anyone that invests in the initial convertible note will have their money transfer over to whatever the institutional investor is going to do. UL has already expressed interest to do $1 million in our next round, so I'll make a lot of angel investors an immediate return on their money, which we kind of like. We run valuations out. In 2020, we think we're going to be doing about 2,200 clients, $16 million worth of revenue, and based on typical valuation and EBITDA will be either $84 million or $168 million. If we present value that out, we're $22 million now, 31 or 45, and right now we're thinking about a $10 million valuation. So everything up here is conservative, and we're taking another 50% cut on our valuation. We want to grow and make our initial investors their 20 to 30 grand when you go pitch this. I built plugins for Autodesk, Google, and Form. Those are natural acquisition partners on the software side. We're going to grow some market analytics. We're probably going to be the only people in the world that have analytics on what ROI drives decision making around green building products. So we think that the 2 groups up there, Dodge and I Square Foot, they're both about $100 million companies just selling data back to the industry. They'll be interested, and then industry strategic partners that certify product data. They're all natural inquisitors to the space. And Google has actually invested about $7.5 million in the last quarter on green building data. They're building a huge, gigantic campus. We know the director of construction over there that building the Apple spaceship donut, Facebook's campus, and Google's. All the tech companies are in a race to build the greenest campus so they keep their employees. So we actually have a natural tie into there. We built plugins for them before, but it's kind of a hard nut to crack sometimes with Google. There's a lot of smart people there.
You see the lighting?
Yeah.
It's also my lighting house too. Made in Germany.
Yeah, I was looking at it. That's pretty nice light. So basically, in summary, the demand's growing for green building. That's lucky for us. We're going to need to solve a lot of the global problems, building better performance. Again, I'm not trying to convince people to buy a new product. I'm just saying if you're going to buy lights, buy those that save you money, put some more money in your pocket. We've got a partnership with the largest building owners. So that's validation. They buy between 25 and $30 of stuff every single year, and they want to trust us to do that evaluation for them. And then UL has 100 salespeople that they're going to deploy for the next 10 days on our behalf, so I don't have to go build a huge sales force. So in summary, we make it easy so more people can be green. Because I do this for my daughters. I live in Florida. I grew up in Florida. Most of Florida is not like I saw when I grew up, so I'm trying to protect that, and that's what I try to do. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. That was pretty cool. Obviously, you see convertible note on there and all that stuff. A couple of years ago, I had no idea what that all means. But we're still going to introduce all of that because there's I bet a ton of people out there which are still in infancy startups, so it's very cool. Our next startup pitch, another 5 minutes before we go to the keynote. And
Did you go to the,
sorry, I'm not introducing your company's names, but as I was saying, that was just like
Hyperteam.
a last minute change.
I get to it.
Okay. It's on, Abi. Appreciate it, thank you. So my name is Abi Soldi.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Paul. I don't have my checkbooks with me.
Yeah.
I'm already invested in my company. But I heard his presentation second time, and
It's getting better and better.
no, it's professional. So I have to learn. This is my first speech.
But it's
Not
all
just today.
private.
For how many more minutes?
Because Peter goes to in 2 weeks and then he gets in front of the killer guys. The money.
No problem. So after this professional presentation, you hear my presentation about my first speech, and I'm talking about Hyperteam, which I founded in 2004 in Hungary. I'm born and raised in Hungary, Budapest. I built up my business over there, and in 2010 we came here to Snowbird. We saw house was the whole area was a sleeping tent at that time. And then talk about the development. So long story short, I'm so proud to see that the successful regional technology partnership on the board member is here, so I pointed to Stephen to the Innovation Award. So we are listed in the top 3 innovator company in the region, and I think it's in the past 2.5 years when we started working on this. That's one of the results. I started 20 years ago as a management consultant, as a products consultant, implementing, as already mentioned, SAP systems for this. Half of the room is from Europe, so probably some of those will be very familiar for you. So years ago, and 2004, after 8 years, I founded my own company. This is our clients. There is the international clients, clients based in Budapest, and our local clients. As you see, we have most of them banking, consulting companies, side business, software development. Microsoft 2006, we are my silver partner, and we built custom development and SharePoint solutions since then, 2007. For our 50,000 daily users using our solutions over there, and what we did in the past, and what we solved for these customers at enterprise level, you see that's the biggest problem. What we saw, personally I saw in the past 9 years, the collaboration, as you see the different ways how we collaborate with people inside the organization. This doesn't matter if it's Audi, it's a car manufacturer, it doesn't matter if it's
One incubator. We are using this software here.
yes, and we have very good references here that like Rocket Launch is using our CRM solution. And what we figured out 2 years ago, since we saw and we implemented using Office 365 now, that we start building a new platform using this knowledge of at the enterprise level and how we solve issues there to build a new cloud-based .NET and SharePoint online solutions for our customers. I bet some most this is all about solving this issue. To build 2 years ago a digital ecosystem and different sides. CRM solution, this is what Peter mentioned. We have a project management solution, we have an HR solution, we have a management information solution, and we have a digital workplace. That's the product family. Smaller companies, growing businesses, 10 users, 200 users, and a couple of thousand more. The reason why you get money to make the product, also build a professional network with you guys, and of course looking for developers and resources here.
Good example is also we are shortly to sign an agreement with API, so that our co-founder in Germany, Europe, has written down a concept to bring Hyperteam to the German market. So Rocket Launch will, if we sign the deal, will represent Hyperteam will bring, because Europe has a lot of relationship with of networking in the system, exactly the go-to-market needs. So we can, that's the other way around, bringing German companies here, but bring the Hungarian, then neighbors, bring it back to Germany, that's fun.
Yes, that's been fun. I'm traveling every month, once or twice. Back and forth.
By the way, he has a great wine distribution company too, so we bring all his wine and do wine tasting. So you see all of us as hobby, I have my lights, he has wine. Because we have to make money somewhere.
And also looking for a sale group, okay, I'm saying so. And last week we launched the second release of the CRM solution, so in one day we are able to change the language in it. So in the next week we will have not just the Hungarian and the English version, the German and the Spanish version came out, and probably the Turkey, because they are so interested from Turkey to be a reseller. So that's our strategy. So this is not a professional pitch like all did it with the numbers, etc. I will get back to you soon, but this is our short story. If somebody interested in our solutions, you can find us anywhere, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever. Probably interesting that we make a CRM lottery. If you put it in the browser, the crmlottery.com, and you can win a CRM for free for 1 year for 5 users.
And when we move in, yes, rocket lounge special tips, so we get special attention.
And why I'm here, the reason why I'm here, and you started with a video from, help me to, I'm not a big Apple fan, so that's my big I want to change to the browser. All of my family use it and my colleagues over there. I just want to show you. You started with Facebook, then we finish with something Hungarian. I bet you never heard about this EVIF, that's a company. But you can read the story, probably Peter can make it a little bit bigger. That's a Hungarian social network company, founded in 2002. And then sold, in 2007 we had 2.6 million registered users, completely similar like Facebook. It's a 10 million country. And they sold in 2006 to Deutsche Telekom, Hungarian subsidiary, for $5 million. So the question is for me, why I'm sitting here, standing here, or why I'm here. I want to avoid this story. You know, this guy 3-4 years before Mark Zuckerberg. And now he is closed. Okay, Facebook is running. Okay, thank you for your attention.
By the way, there was no joke, we will announce very soon, Afi,
I'm sorry?
we will announce pretty soon one of our events, Hungarian wine tasting here at the Rocket Lounge. With pitches and networking. We have done it twice already, or 3 times, with the Naples Accelerator,
Yes.
and we sponsored one.
Yeah.
Great wine, good way of networking, and he and his wife are professional sommeliers, and his wife is from the family of a winery in Hungary, and they talk about the wine and the area is very interesting. So
Yeah. What about
this event? And I'll give you an introduction, maybe sometimes.
All right. Thanks again for everyone. By the way, you guys got the exception today because you know it's the first meetup and whatnot. But from next month on, we're gonna have like 55 minutes. Everything after, I'm gonna clap you out. You were very close. You were very close, but I'm trying to be your friend. But you know, we have to be organized.
Shark Tank style.
Exactly. Anyway, so I'm very happy to once again introduce Andy Crossen here, our keynote speakers for tonight. I hope you guys are still alert enough. Otherwise, jump up and down a little bit because it's gonna
Coffee.
you'll be alert in a second because I'm sure it's gonna be super excited. Andy holds a PhD in computer science and is currently working for 12-fold, a company. He's actually working out of his garage in the true startup spirit, which is, I think, the coolest part of it.
Right across the street from.
You should have moved in here pretty soon.
My rent's free. I pay the mortgage.
He has worked in startups for like the better part of his career, and I was very impressed after we met. And this is what it's all about for me. You know, our stories are different, but I was very excited to see his bio. And after we started talking to each other about, you know, I mentioned the meetup, and I was very happy that we could pull together the very first talk here. And without further ado, stage is all yours. time.
Okay. You want to?
Airplane. Oh, you want to just go on this?
Okay.
Okay, let's try this.
This is really great to see you guys here tonight. Yeah, Sven and his girlfriend Emmy moved in not too long ago with this giant bus. I mean, you guys gotta see this sometime. Maybe Sven will have it at his house, but it's very soon afterwards we met, and we realized we both had a pretty good passion for technology. And so I called this the price of life. So this is as I watched the attendee list for this grow and change, I kept modifying the talk, sort of try to be interesting to as many people as I could. Started off with business folks and entrepreneurs. We added on a bunch of tech people, different persuasions. But I did keep the title, and I made a little game with myself to see if I could try to actually relevant to how the talk changed, and we'll see if that. Quick round of applause for this. A portion of the quote from the media metrics guru guy. The price of life is less than the cost of business, right? And it's like it's not a question of whether you can afford to measure something. It's can you afford not to? So I try to sort of into whether or not when we take some of these systems, some of these big data-ish systems, I'll talk to you guys about tonight, whether we're actually looking at them in the bright daylight from all the facets, and whether or not there's actually some other value hiding in the shadows, right? So there's maybe questionable there, but what I do want to talk to you guys about are a couple of systems, a couple of companies which I built a bunch of systems that morphed and changed, right? They started off in one place and then they changed, and that's how these things work. But there's a couple of key points for each of them that were sort of aha moments, the light bulb went off, where suddenly we unlocked the revenue at these companies. So I'll show you real quick eMarketer's take on display ads market, so the programmatic ad market. It's big, right? I mean, 2015, we're almost at 16 billion, and you can see we're going up and up in terms of the percentage of the overall online ad spend. We're approaching 72% in the next couple of years or so. Big market, crazy landscape, right? This is the Luma-scape from Luma Partners. Luma Partners is kind of a investment bank for the media industry. Put this thing out, and you know, I can tell you about a couple of these companies, but on the left are the marketing guys, on the right are the publishers, right? They've got the content. Everybody in between is trying to get a buck off of this, right? So there's a million different companies, and I've worked for a couple. And this is a little bit different view. This slide is from my old boss, our CEO at Perfect Market, one of these companies, that she gave a little bit different take on Lumascape. And the two companies that I've worked for in this space most recently are Perfect Market and 12-fold. Right on that, either side of that sort of buy-sell fence, we'll call it, but it's really not much of a fence. Sven already pointed out my background. I'm the director of R&D. We have a programmatic ad buying platform chiefly, and prior to that was at Perfect Market, which is on the publisher side. We had a suite for helping publishers just monetize their content through maximizing ad revenue. And I've got PhD and bachelor's of computer science, focusing on AI stuff, so search, natural language processing, machine learning, distributed systems. We're nascent even almost 10 years ago when I came on at Northwestern. So start mantra was, and I'll say it was, because they're now part of another company, to drive traffic engagement and revenue for publishers, right? To review different means, content circulation. So that's the user stay on websites that is underneath the purview of Perfect Market. Social discovery, obviously that's getting in front of the content for all the social midterm, bunch of things underneath that. I'll show you guys the specifics we did that I helped you do. And on-site promotion, so that's another kind of cool thing. It's like if there's content that you know pays out, show it to the person in hopes that they might go to that page and that they might click on an ad. Let's just hope. And then ad optimization. So we did a lot of work there, and I'll show you guys a pretty clear-cut example. So our customers at Perfect Market were quote-unquote premium publishers. So there's a lot of the major newspapers. So you almost have this idea that we were out to save the newspapers, right? Because these guys print media going by the wayside. They don't know what to do with their online content. We're going to come in and help them regain some revenue. So now Perfect Market, I think it was late 2014, was purchased by Taboola. Taboola is a content marketing platform. You've seen them everywhere. They have a web widget that's at the bottom of a lot of these pages that shows related articles, videos, and slideshows. These guys do about 300 billion recommendations to 750 uniques a month. And they got a network of about 5 million pieces of content, according to their website. So here's a real clear-cut example from some of the old Perfect Market decks, since this stuff isn't around anymore. But here's a LA Times page. LA Times was our first customer. Perfect Market was an idea-led company, which is an incubator.
That's the first one.
Yeah, exactly. Out in Pasadena, and I was able to work from home there too. I didn't have the garage office yet, but I actually had one in the house before my daughter was
I think
born.
they created an incubator. EDL.
Yeah,
It was one of the
it was one of the first, and they had a little thing called Double Click. It turned into something big, right?
So who's our double click?
Huh?
Who will be our double click?
I know, yeah, who's one of us in the room?
So one of us.
Well, here's a LA Times article. Over on the left, you see somebody got to this page, let's say through Google, organic web search, by typing in air purifier. They found this LA Times article, state bans home ozone air purifiers. Forget my mouse, but you can see here that, okay, I read about air purifiers, but oh look, the ads are about attorneys in San Diego. Right? That is not an ad that, unless I was completely OCD, and I would probably So the native targeting, we'll call it native. There's another sense of native that's sort of gaining popularity as a descriptor for ads that adopt the look and feel of the host page, right? So same font, kind of looks like it belongs there. Hey, maybe it's not even an ad, maybe it's another link to content, and then they click and boom, they've converted, right? Perfect Market comes in and says, well, what we can do for you, LA Times, is make sure that the ads are for air filters, right? And this is through judicious use of ad hinting, which is a capability that Google AdSense only offered to their premium customers, right? So it's actually not something that just anybody could do, you on your blog, but it was also something that was pretty hard to leverage and take control of. We built a whole bunch of stuff to do that. So Perfect Market targeting, ads match the user's intent, right? So this alone took LA Times within about a year from a $2 to a $10 RPM. RPM is a measure that publishers are interested in. It's revenue per meal, French, revenue per 1,000 page views, right? And that's sort of the sum total of the revenue from all the ad units on the page. It's a metric that's most useful for publishers because it's the bottom line thing. Perfect Market also did automated SEO in a couple of ways that were pretty cool back then. So probably hard to read from the back row, but the little bubble highlights that on the end of each of these URLs, this is one from the Morning Call, another newspaper, can't remember where that is, but what we did is through this keyword tool that I wrote, we were able to identify the keywords that were the most salient for driving people to these pages off of search, right? So we end up, and I'll go into it a little bit more, being able to distinguish between these different keyword types. So there's ones that are more useful for pulling ads back, and there's others that are useful that are more correlated to the types of things people type into Google to find, right? So these these SEO keywords we would tack on to the end of the URL. The other one is in the left bar, the related keywords. So this is a measure of sort of content siloing. So the idea being that if we bucket these pieces of content together, we'll end up hopefully keeping people on the site, so increasing engagement and saying, oh, well, now that I'm reading this article, I might as well read all these other ones on the morning call, right? So that's another type of keyword that we can do there. So the perfect market keyword tool, I came in 2008, we just moved down to Florida, and we sold the remnants of our small startup out of Chicago. My friend and CTO through the years was able to turn what was left of our little company and sold it to Perfect Market, and that's how I came on board there. They have the rudiments of what we would call this keyword tool. So you get the idea, it's like we've got all these publishers, we need an automatic way of a machine that can shove these articles into, and the kind of things I just showed you need to come out the other side, and they need to prove that they work on paper and in the spreadsheets, right? So that's what I took what they had and built this out for these guys. So the background that I had came into this was one of sort of like semantic analysis and keyword extraction. So these are concepts of natural language processing where, first of all, you got this page. It's HTML source code, for those of you who are at that level of knowing that stuff. And within there somewhere is the actual article text. So first of all, you got to have a thing that can go and try to extract what's actually the main article on the page, right? So it's sort of a screen scraping technique. From there, now you got what you hope is that article. Then you can start to do some interesting stuff, right? So I mentioned we had all these different keyword types. Well, underlying the decisions that were made of what becomes a keyword that's sort of a monetization keyword, some one that we might use to do this ad hinting against Google. We had databases that came from, I think we called them the crazy Russians. And this guy had gone through, and if any of you ever done Google AdWords campaigns? You have your own crazy.
We have a Russian.
So some guy went, there's this thing called the Google Keyword Research.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and this thing at the time when you type in, okay, I want to put an ad against the word, iPad or something, right? And it's going to go up and say, here's how much it costs to buy against this. And it gives you a bunch of different contexts and examples in which the cost changes and so forth. Somebody went, but they don't make that available for like a download, right? We had access to this. Somebody actually went and wrote something that probably worked in the Tor network and actually combined all of this into a format that you could get. So we grabbed that, and that, as you might imagine, we could use as part of the decision making around, oh, is this keyword that we extract something that is actually somebody has ads that sell against this keyword, right? So that was one technique, but obviously the part I skipped that gets a little too deep is like how you go from the article text as a block of paragraphs into breaking it down into its constituent parts. There are packages out there, but the concept is that first of all you break blocks of text down into sentences, and then you break the sentences down into words and phrases, and you only want to pick the phrases that are sort of coherent, right? Like you don't want every 2 to 3 word combination, because those are going to be partial words and so forth. So you got to have some concept of what is actually a real single word and what's a real phrase, right? So we use a lot of statistical means to derive that. Another type of keyword that we did were these ones that we tack onto the URL. So how do you find out if it's something somebody searches for? Well, why don't you go out and write a program that goes out and searches for the word and see if in the snippets and the summaries and all the search results, that's something that shows up over and over again, right? So it's a natural way to sort of tap into the intuition that this is something that people talk about as opposed to sort of nonsense. Once we were able to drive to, these are things that people look for. That's one type of keyword. These monetization keywords are other ones. We did a bunch of other stuff here, right? Like we did all the auto linking and I mentioned the SEO stuff, social media. We had a whole thing with that on Facebook of leveraging their APIs to try to understand which friends might be the right friends to share a piece of content with by looking at their news feeds and extracting all the things that they've looked at in the last month and trying to correlate that with a piece of content that's in front of you. And you say, Bill, like he's the guy that needs to see this. And so there was a tool we had to let you share that with Bill. And the idea was that Bill's probably interested in that. So that was one of the things we had there. Layout optimization, we did all sorts of A/B tests to find out what type and shape and size and font color of ad units were the most appropriate in all the different spots, whether that's leaderboard, whether it's the roadblock ones, it's the skyscrapers and the right or left rail. So we sort of did all these tests to optimize for this. So all this was going on. One other thing we had, I'll mention, is this article classifier. So this gets into the realm of machine learning. This is the first maybe, like you hear about machine learning and sort of big data stuff. Well, this is one of those things. We had an article classifier. So one of the things that we found useful is to be able to bucket content into a predefined taxonomy, right? So is this a sports article? Is this a science article? And you can use that for all kinds of things, and we did reporting and estimation of economics. So jelly bean metaphor, an easy one. You got a pink bucket. The bucket is the corpus, so that's the collection of a whole bunch of documents. And the jelly beans are individual documents. And then you sort them into the colors. These are the science ones, the tech ones, the health, politics. So imagine doing this on a scale of thousands or tens of thousands of documents so that you come up with a representative sample from each of these categories. That's your training set, okay, when you're building a classifier. And we used a pretty off-the-shelf thing called a support vector machine, which is a discriminative classifier. And on the left side, these PowerPoint shapes are the more boring representation of the jelly beans. But somebody's gone and done a full, okay, I got 10,000 sports, I got 10, and by the way, not just sports, but this is like 80% sports and 20% politics, right? So you could put multiple labels on these things. And then you feed it through the black box, the machine. And out the other end, it generates a bunch of these models. So what we did is we built models for the top, say it's like 20, 25, or 26, the AdWords placement categories. One of the very standard sort of taxonomic things out there on the web. So that's, again, like I say, your sports, your health, your yada, yada, yada. And we took it a little further beyond that. But the point of all this stuff is that you put your 10,000 sports in, but there's 20 zillion other sports articles out there that aren't in the model. So how do you figure out what that one is? Well, that's what this thing does. It predicted for us with 90+% accuracy. Here's a sports article, right? And you do all sorts of stuff. You build web services around this, right? You parallelize it so that it can handle as much load as you expect to shove in the thing, right? You do all this stuff, and at the end of the day, like, you get these classifications for documents you've never seen before, right? And we shoved hundreds of millions of articles through this thing. So, great tech, keyword tool. After we deployed the thing, it really showed like a 2 to 6x based on the property that we were looking at, the publisher. More traffic, higher click-through rates, more revenue, and we had this classifier, helped us ad targeting and reporting, estimating the amount of revenue we might get. But we had some problems, right? So this thing didn't scale. This is a classic thing, right? I mean, you start off in one place and suddenly these sales guys are out there and they're chugging along and they say, all right, here comes the Chicago Tribune. And you say, oh shit, well, I don't have enough machinery power to handle all this, right? But we ended up being able to do a couple of just choice little things that left the core technology the same, but hit the pain points, the bottlenecks that we had. And in this case, it was moving to a service-oriented architecture. We put it out in the cloud, Amazon, And you know, the heaviest lifting of any of these systems is this natural language processing piece, right? Because you're chugging through text. There's a lot of CPU usage. There's a lot of math going on there. But we ended up being able to introduce some caches using NoSQL technologies that were able to let us go a lot faster. So the piece that used to take 10 seconds now takes a half a second. You scale that up, now you're taking far less time. You can shove a lot more content through. That's the most boring of the optimizations we made. We weren't pushing hard, high RPM content. So you get all this reporting and you see, oh my God, this article on mesothelioma, which by the way, like if you look that up in the Google keyword research tool, it's like $100 to buy that too. So if you got any great content out there about mesothelioma, definitely make sure you got a pretty good payout. But
all the lawyers are paying it.
yeah.
Car insurance sites.
So that's probably that's sort of more than representation of it. But the point is, like, we get this reporting, you say, oh, we got all this content that's making a lot more money than some of this other content. Let's put a little box on these pages at the end of the page, let's say, right? Kind of like Taboola does. It's like triple-digit billion-dollar company now, I think. And we'll put links to the articles that make us money. Maybe we'll mix it in with some links that are actually highly related to what we're looking at. But we'll also mix in some of these other ones. Just because if people are looking at this page a lot, they're clicking on it, there's something interesting about it, so maybe this guy will be interested in it. So we did that, and that was a big one. We called that our link box. And by this point, we had a pretty good network of publishers. And if you go intra-publisher, right, you take Tribune, you take Hearst, and you got all these properties, most of which are small, local papers. Some are big. You can link to the properties within that Hearst network. It doesn't have to be just from the LA Times or just from the Morning Call. So that was sort of the genesis of, we can move people around in this space, keep them engaged. The biggest thing, though, was we weren't capturing most of the traffic. All the stuff I showed you so far, this was on these publishers' historical archives, okay? So this is like articles from 1990, and before that, it's like, it was interesting at the time, but it's not the fresh, new stuff. Now, at the time, Perfect Market was actually managing these archive websites top to bottom. So part of our value add was, just give us a feed of these articles, and we'll build the website. It'll have the template that looks just like, the main LA Times site or whatever. But we'll have on our servers like the entire website. But how about instead, maybe what we do, because all we're doing is doing SEO keywords, we're doing these ad units, and we're doing this linking to create this sort of interrelated network of content. Let's build just a small JavaScript little widget that the publisher can put in their main site template at the top, frictionless, right? And drop it in, and we'll give them the benefit of all this fancy ad targeting stuff on any of the content that they have, right? So that's what we did. And now we were on all the new stuff. We're on everything. We went from $2 to $10 million overnight when we launched that in revenue. And before we exited to Taboola, we were up to 20 million. So that was a pretty good example of like, kind of a no-brainer in retrospect, but it took just a little bit of engineering. All that back-end stuff was the same, and it just was able to push it in a much better direction. Yes?
What year was that?
Well, Perfect Market was around from 2007 to, I'm forgetting now, I think it was 2013 or 2014 that they got acquired. So 12-Fold is where I'm at now, and 12-Fold as primarily a programmatic ad targeting platform. So we've got a tool, and I'll show you guys an example of this, that lets our sales folks and analysts go in and build what we call a content target, which is reflective of an advertiser's intentions or goals. Give you a full end-to-end thing. And build this content target, hit go, and now it'll run the ad on the relevant content. So our thing is that we do contextual matching for ads, right? So again, in the same sort of idea as Perfect Market, it's I'm not going to run your ad just on any content. You can go to a lot of other companies to do that, but we cost more because we're going to target just the exact audience that you're interested in. So, and it's going to depend on where you are in the sales funnel too. So if I'm Jaguar Cars and I've gone to the creative agency, they've made the ad for the new Jag, and they're going to target a certain audience, right? It's going to be maybe not just people in the market for a high-end luxury automobile. It might be also people that are looking for golf clubs, because that sort of evokes a certain level of income, penchant for maybe buying a fancy car or something. So 12-fold at the juncture of NLP, big data, this marketing optimization thing, which is I just gave you an example of. Dynamic creative, we don't do too much of that anymore, but we can talk about it if you want. But predictive analytics, so again, it's all with the reporting, and programmatic buying. I mean, that's the heart of it, is programmatic buying. So we have this tool called Spectrum, and what we do is we listen to the ad exchanges, and they give us about 1 billion unique URLs a month through this massive pipe, right? And we listen to this pipe, and we get 1 billion unique URLs, except it's spread across 370 billion impressions. So imagine we're getting hundreds of thousands of reports of, here's a new URL someone just looked at, here's another one, over and over again. We have to make good decisions about, is this the URL we care about? For example, if it's like a home page or something, that doesn't have a focus enough for us to be interested in placing content on it typically. So we'll listen to just certain kinds of content, lets us sort of filter out a lot of wheat from the chaff. And that's sort of the input to our business, okay? And then we build these content targets, like I said, that sort of listen to a portion of the web. And you can make that portion of the web as big or small as you want, depending on how you set this thing up. And then you hit go on that, and now we start buying against it, pursuant to the budget of the advertiser and the pacing, how long they want to run the thing, right? And I'll give you guys, see if I can get over to this. Show us a secret. What's that?
I want a secret.
You want to see the secret?
I want to see the secrets.
Sorry, this is the same demo that anyone would get. But all right, here's one that was made not too long ago. So this is Lending Tree, right? So this is like I'm targeting line of credit, right? So they're pushing line of credit stuff. I don't know that much about this particular vertical, but this is a content target that is aimed at identifying the pages that would be the best to run Lending Tree's ad. The way that you build a content target, and I can do one from scratch, is much different now than it used to be in the past. So this boils down to keywords, right? It's like, if I'm gonna go find out where to put this ad, I'm gonna type in line of credit and all this stuff. But what we found is over time that there were so many exceptions to the rules, the prior version of this tool for guys who were trying to say, oh, I want line of credit, and then they see an example of a page that isn't quite what they want, and they put an exclusion in, and suddenly, library exists, but you kind of would have to be one to use the prior version of the tool, because it had this huge hierarchy of Boolean query logic in order to do it, right? And what we moved to, one of the first things I did is, how about instead you just gave me some representative examples of the kind of pages you want to run down, and I'll figure out what the keywords are supposed to be underneath of it. So now the task becomes just either through the gigantic index of content that we already have, or just any old page off the web, you can plug in a URL, and it'll figure out what it's about using a lot of the same techniques that I told you about did a Perfect Market, and then show you what the pages are that you might run the ad. You can refine it through various means, but one of the first views that we give you out of this thing is sort of a topical breakdown. So again, here's a concept of identifying the most important words and phrases on the page, at a micro level on a per page basis. But then faceting on that and looking at a high level and saying, how many times does each of these keywords occur across all the pages you might manage? It sort of gives you a top level topical view. So some of the words that pop out that are being talked about in this space: equity loan, Fed, home equity, prime rate, and you can see in there, and under each of these there's examples of the kinds of pages, right? And we score these pages on a scale that's independent of any content target. So an 8 represents a very close match to one's target set in this content target. And then the scale goes all the way down to a 1, and a 1 is related but in a broad sense, right? And then we do trends, so you can see how these topic trends change over time. So I don't know what this one is. This one I think is equity. So, it popped in the end of February, right? These are, in large part, sales tools. These things so far I'm showing you. This matching opportunities tab, this gets to something that's pretty unique with 12 volts. So these are examples of pages that we would definitely run the ad on according to this content target, sorted descending by the number of matching opportunities that we saw. So part of what we do is we not only do we listen to these new pages coming in out of this gigantic pipe, but we listen and track each one of those impressions that we hear about. And we store those in our index that's updated to the tune of, I forget the number, but it's about, at any point in time, about 15 minutes behind real time. So we're shoving in hundreds of thousands of new pages and updates to impressions on these pages every day. So this is one of these content targets. If I was going to go maybe afterwards we can go and consider making a new one if you guys want to see it, but hopefully you get the gist. Underlying this thing is a big index, right? So over the past couple of years, this is what I've been building. We call it our real-time index. It's pages that we see through this ad exchange. And we're sticking in new docs that we've never seen before. We're running it through this analysis pipeline that in many ways is very similar to what I told you guys about with Perfect Market. We're doing all this parsing, content, keyword extraction. We're doing language detection. We're doing this concept of consumer mindset. So we can put this page on the sales funnel, show where it fits, and use that in different ways. Keyword topics and then LDA topics. So this is kind of the next thing I want to talk to you guys about. But we also listen to these doc updates, so impressions by type. So we're doing, I guess we have about 1.4 billion docs in this index. At any point in time, about half of those are useful for any given purpose. We're doing, at any point in time, there's a couple thousand queries per second coming through. These are pulls from our graphing. And we're doing about 500,000 updates to the index per second. And I guess, yeah, that's the indication of the size there. So LDA is this thing called latent Dirichlet allocation. I don't know if it's French or German, described Dirichlet, I guess it'd be Dirichlet, it was French, but this is a topic modeling algorithm. This is cool stuff, right? This is like primo machine learning stuff. So different from the classifier, right? Remember I told you guys about that one? That's like, you gotta predetermine all these examples from all these different categories, right, in order to sort of seed the system. And then it'll do a good job of telling you what it's about the other end of it. LDA is different. So this, you just take a whole bunch of docs, your choice of docs, more is better. You shove them into this thing. And out the end, and the other piece of input that you give it is you say, I want you to segment these into a certain number of topics. These aren't topics that have sort of like human labels. You can't, it's not smart enough to say, oh, look at all these words about NFL and football and these different teams. It's not smart enough yet to say, this is the NFL football topic. But it doesn't matter. It knows that all these words are related to each other, and that's what this thing does. So it chugs along, it breaks the doc apart all these documents apart, figures out which words co-locate with each other, which co-occur, and then through a probabilistic distribution keeps refining the weights of how these keywords link to each other. And you run it through thousands of iterations, and at the end of it, it's got a pretty good sense of these words, even though they didn't come from the same document, we found and collected all these words that are related to each other, and they're topic 0, right? And topic 12 is some other set of words. And this is the basis of how we do our search in this spectrum tool that I showed. So instead of, here's your target set, I found the word equity and finance, through the magic of this LDA thing, I can expand that vocabulary, right? Oh, equity and finance, well that's topic 22. And here's 20 other words that also are related to that weren't even in the documents you provided. I'm going to find you results that relate to those too. Because the goal of setting up these ad campaigns is to maximize the number of matching pages that you get, and by virtue of that, maximize the impression forecast. How many impressions?
Categorization always gets refined. So because always additional words are added to the correlation.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the thing.
So that's really the machine learning side.
There's a concept of like term expansion, and it's like free term expansion. Here's 2 words, I'll give you 20 more for free, because I've already learned how those things
So
relate
the
to
categories
each other.
become refined and refined and refined.
Yeah.
And thereby the
That's
message
it.
becomes more refined and refined.
So get this, so I just built this model, this isn't it, but it actually just finished over the weekend. It's probably one of the biggest LDA models that's out there, short of companies like Google and Microsoft who use this. Yahoo uses them, and it actually powers their web search too. So I just built one, and with the hardware that I had, it took 2 months of 8 very modern, high-performance servers running at full tilt for 2 months to generate an LDA model that had 100 million documents as input, segmented into 15,000 topics.
What kind of database is this? This much, this fast.
Oh, well, I mean, we have really cool, really great hardware.
Okay.
we have servers.
I'm more curious on the software side.
Yeah, we have servers from Microsoft.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got a big backup in New Jersey.
So we're talking weight term stuff. For example, when you do plastic SEO, something that's a H1 tag versus
Sure.
So how are you managing what's more relevant?
Oh, well, LDA is a bag of words technique, which is one of many techniques. So what that says is that the only thing that matters for LDA is term frequency, which is a little bit of a shortcoming, and there's some new literature out there that starts to try to work on that. So that means if you say the word iPhone 20 times in a document that's only 100 words long, that's like a really iPhone heavy article, right?
That could be keyword stuff. I mean, that's
Oh yeah, it could be keyword stuffing. So garbage in, garbage out, like we have a lot of things that we do to make sure that the documents that we, first of all, get into our index, but especially for the selection routine that selects which documents we're going to use to train this model, we pick good ones. That's all I
And we have good partners, that's what we answer.
No, but seriously, you have to have good hardware.
No, for sure. I get it.
What do you think about the technology coming out from big guys like SAP?
Well, I'll tell you what.
IBM Watson.
No, I'll tell you what has the most promise from our perspective for doing a lot of this big data stuff is the GPU computing, right?
Yeah.
So you guys, I'm sure some of you have heard of this, but it's like, and it's kind of only now. It's actually one of the things that I've found where the hardware has outpaced the software. Right, so NVIDIA, the big video card maker, not only do they make cool video cards for gamers, right, but they make versions of them that don't have any plugs on the back. So you're like, where do I plug my monitor in? But they have thousands of super high performance tiny processors all embedded on the one card that are just really good at doing math, right? So this is the concept of supercomputer, right? You think of like Cray supercomputers from the 1970s. The difference between normal computer and supercomputer is that they got math coprocessors. That's like the technical definition. So if you can buy these NVIDIA Tesla cards, back to Elon Musk there, and plug like a bunch of these into a server, and tasks like this topic modeling suddenly become much faster. However, the software has to be there written in a way to support that. And a lot of it's not. I mean, I've researched a ton of these packages to do this topic modeling, and there's only one that still scales to the level that allowed me to build a model as big as what I just described. It doesn't tap into the GPU yet, and I don't have enough time in my day to go modify it to take advantage of graphics cards, but I have evaluated some of those packages. I do have a fancy graphics card in my Linux workstation at home that unfortunately just isn't doing any work right now. Do you have a question?
Yeah, so when you do this, each of these are kind of unique to the customer. So for each one,
Content generates?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're creating this entire instance, this huge process of millions of documents for each particular keyword offer.
But all the documents are already indexed in this big Apache Solr search server. Right.
I mean, I was fortunate to work close to 10 years in video surveillance. And when I talked to you before, I was in IT. And there's an accident. So when they talk about data, and algorithm, and big data, big data, it's nothing. I mean, the normal HP, high definition camera is creating 24/7 video recording. 2000s in a normal casino. We are talking about petabytes of storage. And the algorithm, 90% of the software comes from Israel. And we saw people was doing algorithm. I don't know if you have seen video algorithm, analyzing video content. I mean, data is a piece of crap. Against this, I tell you. No, I say there's technology available. It's crazy how many every day, how many video content, when you only go to London, how many video content will be analyzed for face, for everything. It's amazing how big this, it's a very secret market, the players have never heard about. But it's amazing.
They gotta crunch through this stuff.
For the 10 years, I maybe didn't get it for 8 years, so.
I mean, is it the software that plugs in French language?
I make special chips, as we know.
I mean, it's both.
And they started the GPU stuff.
A lot of these big data analysis projects, guys go off to the cloud, right? And they'll write their software locally, and then they'll expand it onto the cloud. It is unbelievably and cost prohibitively expensive for a medium-sized company.
I would say let's do maybe other questions at the end, just to be
Yeah.
respectful of the presentation.
So the point, this is another slide from our deck. The point is that we moved from this Boolean, this TF-IDF. That's using sort of very standard information retrieval techniques to match between a set of keywords and the resultant matches. When we moved from that to this LVA, we got rid of a ton of irrelevant matches. I'll leave it at that just to move this along. So last kind of big component of this thing is called RTR, real-time relevance. It has a couple functions. I mean, this is actually what then uses this LVA model to go and, in a real-time fashion, do the matching between a new page that's just come in against the library of ad campaigns that we're currently servicing, and making a decision about, hey, is this a good page to throw this ad up on? And then within a fraction of milliseconds, then making a decision about, are we going to bid on this, and how much are we going to bid on in the ad marketplace, right, in the exchanges. Do you want to bid on this inventory? No, yes, and how much? Those are the sorts of questions we can answer that. So again, we see 1 billion uniques come in, 20 billion impressions a day that feed into this index that we collect, right? And we do about 200,000 bids a second out there on the web. And everything's in memory, let's put it like that. For the tech guys who are wondering how we're servicing these requests so fast, right? So again, great technology. RTI, LDA, this real-time relevance thing, but, oh, guess what? Same old problem, didn't scale, right? Can't keep up with this deluge of URLs. So again, our previous product didn't listen to this stream of inputs. Now we're listening to that, and we've got queues, we've got all the enterprise architecture, right? But we weren't able to keep up with this. I just threw this up here as an example. So I mentioned we use Apache Solr. It's an open source search server based on top of Lucene. And they have, as you might imagine, any of these platforms have a plug-in framework. And we had all these things that do things like find the topics, what's the language, all the different things that we do to analyze these documents. We had that sort of plugged into the Solr. So it's like, oh, let's index this document, and then it runs through this thing, highly serialized, right? And we just couldn't keep up, right? So now we're keeping up, and there's a link there. But what that links to is one of our RabbitMQ, our enterprise queue, that shows that we're handling a whole bunch of documents per second, right? Core technology remained the same. We moved this analysis chain to Apache Storm, which is one of this new breed of distributed stream processing engines. Perhaps some of you have heard of Apache Spark as well. Hadoop being the very canonical big data product, Hadoop Pig, the old school tools that are still useful. LDA runs on top of Hadoop. Storm is another one of these things. It's just a way to parallelize work across a whole bunch of machines and abstracts the machinery from the software. You say, I need more of this process, and you light up 10 more of this thing on this box, and it just does it. So that's what Storm's cool for.
So is software-defined storage helping in this space?
So, say that again?
What VMware is trying to do? Get the whole storage distribution system based on software level.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, for Storm, what do you think? Yeah, I mean, Hadoop has HDFS, which is typically no local storage. In our use case, actually, we don't need a lot of storage. What we do is we ship around minimal chunks of information, right, throughout this processing chain. But then at the end of the day, it goes into our petabyte NAS that's on the 40 gig network in the cave in New Jersey. So we end up shipping everything over to this thing, right? The biggest thing with 12-fold that with probably since just the turn of the year that we started doing. So all these campaigns, like our whole thing is we're targeting based on contextual matches. We're doing this high quality matching between what the advertiser wants and the pages that we see out on the web. Well, in the way that you bid on this, the way that you end up going about placing ads on these pages is through this concept of segments. So we were listening and to content segments. So that'd be like, okay, well, we know these pages match. The next time somebody opens this page, you're damn right we're gonna put that ad on this page. Well, guess what happens? Like, you don't see that page as much as you thought you would, right? As big of a world that we can create with this content target, you just don't get enough of it typically to meet volume and more these days, KPIs. So the advertiser will hand out these key performance indicators that they might be interested in. If you can meet those KPIs, you're more likely to get repeat business. That's the deal. And the KPIs are stuff like, click-through rate is the traditional one. It's less important these days because of things like branding campaigns where they might not click on the ad, but they'll see it, and they might still be influenced by it, right? It's sort of this disconnect. But other things you can measure are things like engagement, like the time spent looking at the ad, having it be in focus on the page, right? 12-fold most recently launched a partnership where we offer 100% viewability guarantee. And that's as simple as it sounds. It's, did the ad actually come scroll into the window on the user's browser, as opposed to being below the fold, where typically you'd say, oh yeah, we showed them that ad. Don't worry about it, But they never saw it. So it's like, we'll only count our ad impressions towards the ones that literally they saw. So that's actually not, it sounds simple, but a lot of companies don't do that. It's kind of funny. So we listened on content segments. We were sitting on a bunch of data, however, about audiences. So the service that we use to be able to actually do the bidding on this through Google and ad exchanges, they give you information about audience. So what I mean by that is you get the page that came in, somebody clicked on this page, but you also get who this is. And who this is Big Brother stuff, but essentially there's a user ID associated. So there's a cookie, right, that tracks, oh, this guy's in Germany, he's got this browser, it was this time of day, all these day part metrics, all these different things can combine down to create a unique signature for a user ID. So you get a bunch of user IDs. Now imagine instead of just saying, all right, we're going to listen on only these pages that's defined by this content target, but instead we're going to listen to the audience of people who are also interested in the same content as this other guy, right? Now we're like blowing up. I don't have any revenue metrics on it because it's new, but like most of our campaigns are running on this now. So like we were doing like 5% delivery before in terms of going back to Jaguar and saying, okay, we showed all of your ads. It would be, we showed 5%, we showed 5% of the ones that we promised we showed. Now we're doing 100%, and we're meeting the KPIs, all these other ones, other stuff like sweepstakes. These are all advertiser-specific KPIs. So that was the light bulb with 12-fold that it's pretty new and good for us. So the price of like, here I am trying to like make this title still work. Look at systems in the light from all angles, seek out the hidden potential, avoid the cost of darkness, lost revenue. So it kind of works, right? We built these things. We thought they were great. At the end of it, we stood back and said, oh my God, if we do this little tweak, like it's going to be so much better. And that's the point of a lot of these startups. It's like, don't stop at what you have. Come back, take a fresh look, get some fresh eyes on it. And you might find that there's a little bit of hidden stuff there that you didn't know about. Little tech moves can change and improve the business model. So thank you guys, Rocket Lounge, all you guys. It's great to have this tonight. Questions, comments, I don't know what kind of time. I definitely.
Well, I'll leave that up to the group. If you guys have, I think that will cover
Not divulging too many more secrets about how business works.
So infrastructure, you have your own or you do on AWS?
We found that without question, it was cheaper to buy our own hardware. I mean, you can go to Michael Dell, not him directly, but cut a deal. And so.
I just think about you saying, hey, I need 2 months to do this one model.
Oh, I mean, that would cost like $200,000, depends on what it's.
Yeah, but he's selling 2x pays into it. It's not right.
I get that, but like, I
should just charge.
I get that, but I can spend $1 million on hardware, have it in the back when I'm done with this job. Not put it to work doing something else, right? So we've got like a couple hundred machines. I mean, this index, the real-time index, runs on 40 Dell 56 core boxes with half a terabyte of RAM each, 100 terabytes of, 10 terabytes of enterprise SSDs. So they're like beefy boxes, and you just couldn't. I mean, it was cheaper for us. Like we ran the numbers, and even like getting to 3-4 guys down to the right guy at Amazon. It's still ridiculously expensive. You've seen the news about like, what is it, Netflix, right? Yeah. And Apple. Like Apple recently switched off Amazon and they published their numbers or something. And it's just like astonishing how much.
I was thinking more of what NASA. Hey, we're getting a bunch of pictures, bytes per process, so when you see that spike in the spot.
Oh, so you're talking about like dynamic and
for the next 2 days to the process.
that's it. Right. A lot of things we do it's more predictable than that. Like we choose how we scale. So perhaps we do make a decision down the line to do something like spot instances, but for us we're able to keep our things more than limping along with the hardware that we have. So yeah. So,
Is not very much computer science, it's more psychology of the whole thing. Because are you employing psychologists it's more like a cyber psychology. So it's completely computer science and algorithms or background with helping create the
there's
the
no,
algorithms.
right, there's no, well, a lot of these tools come off the shelf. A lot of them only work on academic data sets.
Mhm.
That's one of the big problems that we find is like when we try to scale
That's
these
how the
things
tools
up.
are created.
And the tools are typically general purpose enough that perhaps no niche intended usage was in mind at the time. For the business of what we're doing, no, there are no psychologists on staff. There's some good veteran media guys and sales guys that know
They have
how
the
to.
psychology.
They had the psychology sort of implicit, but a lot of times it's trial and error too, right? Like I mean, I mentioned I think that Jaguar example where it was.
Is that in the algorithm, the trial and error? So if it's error, then
No,
you
I mean,
switch.
what I'm trying to say is like maybe we're not meeting the campaign goals, and you're trying to stick this Jaguar car out everywhere you can. You're not getting any views and clicks, so then you sit and brainstorm. Who else might buy this car, right? So maybe you build more content targets to focus on other high-end products that somebody who is interested in that kind of car might also be interested in. So in that case, it was Cali Golf, and they picked up a whole nice little chunk of extra views.
So but that's very psychology behind it.
It is,
The
yeah.
algorithm
And I
itself.
don't know how.
Yeah.
I build the tools to support the thing, and I can offer insight into how I know the tools work, but that's not my area.
Okay.
I think coming back to my earlier question, do you think that the next generation and the next generation coming from companies like you, or is, the big guys are prepared? I mean, what, is it something which is groundbreaking and they take it over sometimes, or do you think that's too late already? I mean, they put $1 billion on the game. It's in-house.
I think it was.
It's in-house. They bought a couple of software companies and Boston.
Yeah,
I
because
think
they
Boston,
was hardware.
like many, but they never turned it into, this time they put $1 billion and
So
Is that smarter than what you do? That's a hard question.
Well, look, I mean, this is what we try for, right? This is your whole thing. It's like, are we going to be the ones that
I'm
sell?
selling two boards and two startups and offices.
Yeah.
And one of them won the top 25 for $1 million. They're funding now, but
Yeah.
the problem is, with all that money, is that I'm not an expert in this case, is it so innovative?
No.
IBM is innovative, the rest is open source.
No one has.
SAP, they are betting big on SAP.
No one has the product that we have. No one has the type of machine learning generated topic models the size that we do. So we're pretty agile for a small company. I hope someone buys us.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
let's move to the other questions, maybe to later. We're moving to the bar, but thanks again, Andy. I thought that was very interesting.
But before you go, take some food here, because on the bar you have to pay.
Yeah, I just want to finish it off. Again, thanks for all of your attention. I know it was a little longer than we were planning for. But for my part, I enjoyed the talk very much. Thanks again. I think there is a key takeaway here. For me, it's hard to get in a couple of words, right? Like there was a lot of information, but for me, it's still the title and how he explained it in the beginning. Like, make smart decisions. Look at everything you do from day one, right? If you can. Collect your data, don't let anything slip. I mean, we have it so easy today, Google Analytics, all this shit. I mean, but it can be as easy as starting a little e-commerce business or selling in flea markets. Collect the data of what you're selling compared to what you're not selling, and buy a shitty storage unit which has, I don't know, car parts if you're not selling it, right? So day-to-day business, but again, thanks very much. A couple of things. Next week is planned for next month, just about next month. We don't have a speaker set yet. We have a couple of managers, but I want someone who you think would be interested. Please reach out to me. Email address. So anything, as I said before, just for the bar for a little bit. So if there's a couple more questions, feel free, or for Peter and Peter, or I, or just anyone else. Where are we going again?
Opposite, there's only 2 streets here, so on the other side.
Okay,
United.
just follow him because actually. All right. Thanks again for coming.
If you're looking for innovative space, move fast because it's getting very fast. And then
fit into a unit. No, are you the intern from Germany? It's definitely Brian Brian's fault.
You'll learn quick. There's 5 Americans in the first.
How long have you been down? That's good. So what do they have to do with just whatever, clean our slate, clean the trash, so that's definitely something like that.
You work.
I think they're kicking us out.
We have such, no. I want to show my lighting.
9,000.
So anyway, dimmer. 1, 2,
All battery.
LED,
I saw
color changing and everything when you know.
So my wife knew that you were German by the colors you chose. I showed her a picture and she's like, she's German, right? I said, yes. She's like, I can tell. She's a designer. She's like, actually, that's very hot. This is a very high European color.
Yeah. Yellow, orange.
Which is funny because when I
My
go
wife is in lighting and fabrics are mixed. So we are doing at the moment 5 Las Vegas casinos. And they kick out all their old, they do renovation every 4 or 5 years. So we do Trump, Guin, Explore, Venetian, and some others.
Oh, she's like,
They normally they don't like European colors. Well, it's a European pop now, it's an American 2 years later.
right, it's all
So,
changing.
but now all of their celebrities coming in, they go to Paris and Europe, and now they want to have the European stuff. And it's crazy when you see the US designer makes a decision for they make what they call mock-up rooms, so that you make 1 room or 2, get all the stuff in, and then the owners get in, like it or not, and then you inspect it, and then maybe 100 years later you get an order. When you get an order, the fabric is not available anymore because the factory in Europe, that was last year, you idiots. We have totally different color now, Italy and France. Because the Americans are always 2 years behind the European style.
You see our own company here in the US doing it?
Yeah, then Cape Cod. We represent 5 leading mills from Europe. Italian, Belgian.
I'll have to get your information because my wife is doing all kinds of crazy, she's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And she is a very
But we
modern.
have really high stuff, so the best welding from Italy, and where the others stop, we stop.
5 years ago, her houses were 500. Her residential projects were 400,000 or 500,000. Now the cheapest is 2 million.
So I know what I say because the biggest producer of fabric worldwide, Chinese, Indian, and Turkish.
Right.
And they take the Europeans have still family units, you know, real milk. Yeah? And they take this patterns and put them on a digital whatever press, and you can't compete. I mean, it's cheap. But if you are going to the Las Vegas hotel, let's say, you know, they have 20 floors.
Right.
They put in the Chinese and Indian stuff, and then they have the high roller, and and this is where we came in. Because this people get in. We have done the Celine Dion when she was in the Caesars, and she touched the fabrics.
Right, she wants to see what it looks
What
like.
the fuck are you doing here? And I want to have this and nice and Italian. Because this so we can only go in the high roller suites and then the high end suites.
I mean,
And our stuff, 80 tests per yard. This
How
is
much,
what-
80?
80.
She just did a client job where it was $400 a yard.
No, this is we have one line called Yoga. Yoga is a fashion design. But this is only going to Texas. We are oil. We don't care what it costs. I got a call from a lady. We have this size. You see this size, the globe there?
Yeah.
Left side. Floating ones for a pool. And she saw it on our webpage. It's I want to have 20. This floating, one piece, $1,500. That's it. what is it? Locked, no, it's private party, private house. I Googled it, the address, we sent a test unit so that we can see that we are twins. So there was a West Palm Beach. You know, that it was like a club there. It was so big. So, hey, here's my credit card number. My wife got it, picked it in. 2 weeks later, we delivered because the party was there, the photo manufacturer, and then he showed us a picture in the night when all the guys are half drunk, getting spinning around all this battery operated, in the pool, and so it goes. And they say, oh, wow, that's amazing, it's a picture. And then he said, what are you doing? He said, maybe next year party, maybe not. We don't care. I mean, it was 20,000 something. They don't care.
It's just they like
The
it.
guy in the low,
If they want it,
they have to.
If they want it, they want it. That clientele, they want it, they want it.
Amazing what money is.
She was Pam did
If you're on the
something.
sheep side, everybody fights for the duck. If the rich guys they don't care. But it's more expensive, that's better. If you think, I could sell it to you, 25, she would not even have a blink. It was not even the lady also, it was her assistant. Credit card, tack through, boom. Can you deliver in 2 weeks? This is where the party is. Yes, we can. And we like German engineering, but we think we have in the garage 50 cars. We like German engineering, German life, made in Germany.
Because people, if they care, they care. If they don't care, and there's she's been in the business for so long, some of them, they care about funny stuff, but the big stuff, they don't care.
And they say,
Oh, they want.
if you say you can deliver, this is what they told us. They tried other stuff, you know, and this way you think the cheap. This is why if you have a high price and have not a good service related to the price,
You won't last very
you
long.
deliver, you will not last. They talk to each other. So we deliver in time if you can afford it. But shipping is very expensive. It's
Some chandelier she's picked out for someone's house, $30,000, and she was like, well, I thought it was gonna be 30,000. She's like, they picked out, I gave her 3 choices, 10, 17, and 30. And she's like, that's the one we're gonna do. Yeah, we made 30%.
We just have done a house in Cape Cod, 5 bedrooms. This guy, he went to try to get fabrics, nothing, but then he drive over the bridge and saw our little sign there, you know, workroom, blah, blah, blah. He didn't come in personally, he sent his own accident. We know this guy from a couple of podcasts. He's very picky and he has to deliver in time. He's coming in 4 weeks, can you do it? Yeah, we can do it. Blah, blah, blah. So he put a check on the table for $16,000. There were half $32,000 was he picked online on the phone when we delivered in time. We didn't know. He's doing 5 miles. 5 miles. We want to have our fabrics now. We're doing lighting too. And we delivered. The guy is happy. Everybody is happy. My wife, of course, is happy. You know, and we never thought we can sell one line or fabric in Cape Cod. You know, we go day to Sunnyvale. You know, we have this fresh Italian colors. Very, very fancy stuff.
I'll have to get that information from you, so. All right, our presentation.
So nothing can go wrong here.
Second? Tops of doors? Oh, okay, right here.
That was very important, Peter.
Yeah,
This kind of presentations.
yeah, I
If
just
you look at agents here, they want,
I love this presentation, yeah.
yeah, but for technology, people don't. I see you in the United.
Yeah, coming. How are you? I've been upset this one. I've been up with at least, actually, I've been up with it for the last 3 days. Oh my gosh. Well, the day and night you were off, kind of.
No, 6 o'clock in the morning, every day.
Better. Yeah. No, that's it. No, but you covered it. I'm gonna cover it, that's it. The rest of it, leave for a while. Yeah, thank you for coming, especially then, with that kind of,
And tomorrow,
schedule.
oh, May, I'll send you a text tomorrow. For May 4th.
Okay, oh, we are all close?
Yeah.
Just send me the date and the time, and then we will put it into a calendar, otherwise it's gonna be getting lost, you know?
So they're gonna pick, I think they're gonna pick 2 finalists.
Okay.
On another step, but they wanted some people that are,
And what are these kids doing?
oh shit, there's, all kinds of cool stuff. Physical products, they're doing an MVP model, it's all based on MVP.
Okay.
So based on them winning, they get to get money.
Do you need
So
to know
that's
guys?
MVP.
Okay.
Those are MVP.
Yeah, these go. If there is more space in the fridge, we'll see.
Probably needs a switch. Survive.
So when I go in here. You probably see, you probably see in here.
Is it working? We can
This
move
is
some.
just ice. It's too big.
Is it the same size, no?
Oh, that was smaller, that was smaller, so I put that in there, those are just veggies.
Well, those are the two gonna come into this shell.
Here, they got one in the cooler, you can get, that'll give it to you tomorrow. You can put the
Oh, you gotta be okay with this one, they go in here.
That one's. Okay.
Peter, here is the thank you.
I'll save your mind, I'll just go to the.
Yeah. What's it happening? Wait for the next event. Okay, so for now, leave everything else here, but these need to go back into the box from wherever those utensils came from. I don't know where the box is. So then, no, well, up here. Okay, put it back in here and then put it under there. Right under here. Hold those up, hold those up there. But don't worry about it now. Do you wanna come down to the bar with us?
Now or what?
Are you coming?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm just going to the restroom.
Yeah.
Let's just get my phone. Okay, so for now, leave everything else here, but these need to go back into the box from wherever those utensils came from. I don't know where the box is.